I've always felt like I've loved watching you, and I love that we like connected over that. And it's like you're tapping into like this other power that I think like people forget about or dismiss is like the manifestation. It's like finding your joy. And because I remember a few years ago, I heard I don't even remember who, but I heard a couple comics say like, oh, like Jocelyn doesn't write her own material. Like people always talk shit, and I just was like, and it's weird. It's like you kind of like anytime I hear someone like kind of talk shit about somebody I like sort of quietly log it, and I'm like, like where is this coming from? Like it's probably jealousy. But how do you deal with like, haters and rumors and shit like that?
I remember this stage very clearly because my friend was the founder of this comedy writing service called Comedy Wire. He's like, Jocelyn, can you please try this service for us? Give me your feedback and be my guinea pig. So it's not like I paid or anything. I was just like his guinea pig to test out his product because he was the founder. And it's a service where writers in the service will punch up whatever material you need, whether it's the script or a stand-up set, a commercial that you have. So I'm pretty sure that's where the rumor came from. They were supposed to sign an NDA, but haters be haters, right? So I did hear that. I was like, what the fuck, man? Like trying out your service has like gotten like word out that I don't write my own material. I mean, first of all, I only got one angle from the service. It's not like I took their joke and like said it on stage and it worked, right? I said to freaking tweak it and add sauce and flavor, add more punchlines, like turn into a whole fucking like 2-minute chunk. So it was very insulting, and I was complaining about it to my comedian friend. And I was very upset. I mean, like having worked so hard, the last thing you want is people like doubting your credibility, right? And he's like, look, Jocelyn, this is a compliment, okay? If you were not funny and not, rising up in the scene, no one would care that you hired some writing service or whatever it was. Like no one would care that you have writers, right? If you were like a bad comic, like this, take this as a compliment that you are good. That's why people are bitching about you. It's like, all right, fine. I will try and see it that way. But I was very upset at the time. But then, I was like,
when you say like, oh, you buy an angle, is it an angle just like a premise or like what is that?
So I mean, so it was a joke I wanted to do about how being on a date and a guy saying he's not looking for a relationship is like what, right? Like I went in an analogy and someone's like, oh, it's like, hey, how about I come by your office and pick up a paycheck even though I don't work here? So that's like the angle. I mean, he said it as like, this should be a joke.
Okay.
Like that's like saying, hey, I don't work here, but I'm going to come by your office, pick up a paycheck. Like, so that he gave me like a one-liner. It was like a B joke when I just said it that way. So then I had to like modify it. But so he gave me the right angle. I was like, oh yeah, this is a great angle. Not wanting a relationship on a date is like, not wanting to work but getting a paycheck, right? So that's a great angle. Let me just move it up. Yeah. So I'm very grateful for the comedian for giving me the angle.
Yeah, and that happens all the time. Like after shows, it happens frequently. Like another comic will be listening to your set and be like, hey, do you mind? Like I have a tag for you. And I've listened to comic sets where I've come up to them and be like, this is such a funny idea. Like, have you ever tried this? And it really depends on who it is, because some people are very open to that. I'm super open to that because it's like, I take it as a compliment. It's like, oh, somebody's listening and cares. And I don't always, like this, I have one brain. So it's like, if you see it a different way, that's cool. But some people are very close to like, oh, like I would never take a tag from someone else. It's like, can't be. There's a lot of different ways.
In it. I mean, I'm a big believer in it because I was hanging out with like some really great comics. I mean, Derek Gaines and Monroe Martin, like is the next level up. That is like Dave Pell, right? So they're like really, really solid at the top of their game, and they're like, oh yeah, we give each other angles and punchlines and tags all the time. And I had a comedy class with Corey Kahaney, and she's like, no comedian writes alone. Like even she has her writing group, So I learned from a very early stage that feedback from other people is so helpful. Even non-comedians. I mean, after, if a joke doesn't work, if I'm talking to an audience member afterwards, I'll be like, so why? What was wrong with this? Like, what did you not get? So I'm always like constantly getting feedback. And I think that's one of the reasons why I managed to like get stuff that works, because I'm so open to criticism on my material. Like, yes, tell me how it could be better.
Yeah. I think
In fact,
that's what
I had a new joke, guys. It was so funny. It was a joke about I was hooked up. I was hooking up with a guy for the first time. He's like, you know what? It really turned me on if you call me daddy. And I was like, you know what? It really turned me on if you call me tomorrow. And I thought that was so funny, right? Because like guys will pump and dump and not call the girl the next day, but it was getting like a very B laugh. And so afterwards, the audience was like, oh, you were so funny. And I was like, okay, but why did this joke not work? And they're like, oh, I thought maybe you meant like you were done with him. Like, oh, call me tomorrow. I'm done with you. They didn't get that I had meant, oh, I don't pump and dump me, still call me, right? So they didn't get it. So because of that feedback, now
okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
So definitely, like, all right, you know what? Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? If that is what I mean by I get people to write for me when I get feedback, like, yeah, so be it. Whatever. I'm at the Cellar, you're not. So shut the fuck up.
I love you, Jocelyn. That's ultimately, it comes down to that. Right? It's like,
and you know what? When you're at the highest level, like Chris Rock level, they're getting writers. So right, I my goal is to finally be able to get writers to write for me. Like that would be great when I can finally be like, yeah, I hire writers. That means I've made it.
And you've also been like actually a comedian for many years. I think it's only something worth talking shit about if like I was opening for a comic in Naples, Florida, and he was like, for a fact, I know a guy who has written most of Jeremy Piven's set. And I'm like, that makes sense. It's like he just kind of got into this industry, and then he was headlining like within a couple months. Obviously he's a big name, he can fill a room, but I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, because he hasn't been in comedy for years and years, and he can do that. He's got like the money to do that. Getting tweaks.
I mean, I do.
Yeah.
I do wish I had the money to hire writers. I think it would make our money so much easier.
Oh God, it's hard.
It's hard. Yeah, but this one comedian friend, he already made his millions. Now he wants to try comedy, and he's like, yeah, I can just buy the best comedian to write for me. So I was like, oh man, that is so unfair.
That does feel so unfair, because it's like, I just feel like you're up there like kind of pouring out your soul. It's one thing to get like tweaks and help with like a few things here and there, but to like buy whole like swaths of material off, that just seems like so disingenuous. But everyone is in this for different reasons.
Satisfaction, right? Yeah, I guess so. But so don't you get so much satisfaction from like your jokes working?
Yes, it's like a little birth.
Satisfied. It's a little birth. Yeah, it'd be so dissatisfying, and for people just like write for me, and I just like, and then you're just an actor.
Yeah, exactly. Which like makes sense, because if he came from the acting world, he's used to regurgitating lines. And I can talk shit about Jeremy Piven because he was rude to me, so I get a pass.
And we hate him too.
It's like, I love everybody until you're like mean to me for no reason. I don't know. People, people get weird. I feel like every industry has its own like drama and gossip, whatever, but it's just so competitive, and like we're all linked kind of with social media. So it's like, you just never know who's keeping tabs on you, who's feeling a way about your success. And it's like, I just admire you, Jocelyn. Like, you're doing you. It's like, it's so important to have goals, because it's like, why else are you slogging away, going into the city, doing sets, like staying up late at night? It's like not an ideal lifestyle. So it's like, you have to remember why you love it to keep you, to keep you fresh and energetic about it.
Yeah, totally.